The champagne glass shattered against the marble floor, and Amarachi Okafor felt her world shatter with it. She stood frozen in the doorway of what used to be her bedroom, watching her husband Juno move another woman's clothes into their closet. Not just any woman. Sora. His secretary. The woman he'd been sleeping with for 6 months while Amarachi endured painful fertility treatments, believing she was the problem. "You can't just stand there," Juno said without looking at her, his voice cold and detached. "Either help or leave." Before you continue watching, please hit that subscribe button and drop a like if you're ready for a story of ultimate revenge and transformation. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. 24 hours earlier, Amarachi had walked into their Seoul apartment with hope in her heart, fresh from another round of injections that left her body aching and her spirit bruised. Juno was waiting in the living room, tie loosened, expression hard. "We need to talk," he'd said, and those 4 words changed everything. "I want an open marriage." The statement hung in the air like poison. "I need a child, Amarachi. Since you can't give me one, I should be free to have one with someone who can." The room spun. 5 years of marriage. 5 years of trying, failing, being poked and prodded by doctors while Juno grew more distant. 5 years of believing she was broken. "You're having an affair," she whispered. "I'm being practical," Juno corrected. "Sora is younger, healthier. We've been together for 6 months. It's time to make it official." Amarachi's legs nearly gave out. 6 months. While we were. Those treatments were never going to work. My mother and I knew that. It was time to explore other options. The casual cruelty in his voice cut deeper than any scalpel. Amarachi had given up her graphic design career to support his tech startup. She'd isolated herself from friends and family back in Nigeria, devoted herself entirely to being the perfect wife. And this was her reward. Now, standing in that same apartment watching Sora hang designer dresses where Amarachi's clothes used to be, rage finally broke through the numbness. She grabbed her purse, her passport, and walked out without a word. Juno didn't try to stop her. Sora's victorious smile was the last thing she saw before the door closed. The hotel bar was dimly lit and mercifully empty when Amarachi stumbled in 3 hours later. She'd walked the streets of Seoul until her feet bled in her heels, tears drying on her cheeks, mind spinning with humiliation and grief. The bartender took one look at her and poured something strong without being asked. "Rough day?" a deep voice asked from her left. Amarachi turned to find a man watching her with sharp, calculating eyes. He was impossibly handsome in that intimidating way wealthy Korean men often were. Perfectly styled dark hair, a suit that probably cost more than her entire wardrobe, an aura of power that seemed to bend the air around him. "That's an understatement," she said, downing the drink. "Kong Min Jae," he introduced himself, extending a hand. "And you're Amarachi Okafor, Park Juno's soon-to-be ex-wife, unless I miss my guess." She stared at him. "How do you? Your husband and I are business rivals." "Well, rival implies we're on the same level. I'm about to destroy him, actually. But seeing you here, looking like your world just ended." He leaned closer, his expensive cologne filling her senses. "I think you might be the key to doing it faster." "I don't understand." Minji's smile was dangerous. "Your husband humiliated you publicly by moving his mistress into your home. He's been bragging about it to business associates, painting you as the inadequate wife who couldn't give him children. Seoul's elite social circles are buzzing with it." Fresh shame washed over Amarachi. "I didn't know." "Of course you didn't. But I do. I know everything about Park Juno, including things that would destroy him if they came to light. And I know you deserve better than being discarded like trash." He signaled for another round of drinks. "So here's my proposition. Date me. Publicly. Let me show you off at every gala, every business dinner, every place that matters in this city. Let him see you thriving, powerful, desired. Let him watch his cast-off wife become Seoul's most envied woman." "Why would you do that?" Because it benefits us both. I get to humiliate my rival and cement my status. You get revenge and your life back. Plus. His eyes traveled over her face with an intensity that made her breath catch. I have a feeling you're going to be absolutely stunning when you stop crying and start fighting back. Amarachi should have said no. Should have walked away from this stranger with his dangerous smile and calculated plans. But rage was a living thing inside her chest now, burning away the grief. What exactly would this arrangement entail? She asked. You move into my penthouse tomorrow. I'll give you a position at my company, creative director at Kong Industries. Your design background makes you perfect for it. We'll be seen together constantly. The media will eat it up. Park Juno will lose his mind watching you succeed. And in private, Minji's expression didn't change. Strictly business. Separate rooms, separate lives. This is mutually beneficial, nothing more. How long? Until Park Juno is destroyed. Professionally and personally. I'd estimate 3 months, maybe 4. Amarachi studied this man who'd appeared like a dark angel offering her salvation. There was something predatory about him, something that suggested crossing him would be fatal. But there was also something magnetic, a pull she couldn't quite name. One condition, she said. When this is over, I want the truth. About my fertility. About why the treatments never worked. I want answers. Something flickered in Minji's eyes. Surprise, maybe respect. Done. My medical team is the best in Korea. They'll figure it out. He pulled out a business card and slid it across the bar. Below his name and title, CEO, Kong Industries, was a phone number written in pen. My private line. Call me tomorrow when you're ready to start your new life. Their fingers brushed as she took the card, and electricity shot up Amarachi's arm. Minji's eyes darkened, his jaw tightening almost imperceptibly. For a moment, the cold businessman mask slipped, and she saw something raw underneath. One more thing, he said, his voice lower now, almost rough. This arrangement stays professional. But you should know that you're the most beautiful woman I've seen in years, and playing your boyfriend is going to require every ounce of self-control I have. Heat flooded Amarachi's cheeks. I thought this was strictly business. It is. But I believe in honesty. He stood, buttoning his suit jacket. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. I'll send a car to this hotel. Wear something that makes you feel powerful. We're going to remake you into a queen. He walked away, leaving Amarachi with a business card, an empty glass, and the first spark of hope she'd felt in years. She looked at her reflection in the bar mirror. Her eyes were still red, her makeup smudged, her expression broken. But underneath the devastation, something new was stirring. Park Juno wanted to discard her? Fine. She'd show him exactly what he'd thrown away. The next morning, Amarachi stood in front of the mirror in her hotel room, wearing the one designer dress she'd grabbed from the apartment, a fitted black number she'd bought for a charity gala Juno never took her to. The car Min-jae sent was a sleek black Mercedes with tinted windows and a driver who opened doors without speaking. Kong Industries Tower pierced the Seoul skyline like a steel needle, all glass and chrome and unapologetic power. Amarachi's heels clicked against marble as she entered the lobby, aware of every eye turning toward her. The elevator ride to the top floor felt like ascending to another world entirely. Minji's office occupied the entire penthouse level. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city, and everything from the furniture to the artwork screamed wealth beyond measure. He stood at the window, hands in his pockets, looking every bit the king of his domain. "You came," he said without turning around. "Did you think I wouldn't? I thought you might wake up and realize this is insane." He finally faced her, and his expression shifted when he took her in. "But I'm glad you didn't. Come here." She crossed to him, pulse quickening. Up close, Min-jae was even more devastating than she remembered. There was something almost cruel about features that perfect, that symmetrical. "The contract," he said, producing a leather folder. Everything we discussed. You'll live in my penthouse on the top 3 floors. Your own suite, completely private. You'll start as creative director on Monday with a salary that reflects the position, not the arrangement. Public appearances twice a week minimum. And this clause here, he tapped a section, states that either party can end the arrangement with 48 hours notice. You're giving me an escape? I'm not a monster, Amarachi. You're doing me a favor as much as I'm doing you one. Besides, revenge only works if you're committed. He handed her a pen. Sign if you're ready to destroy Park Juno. She signed without hesitation. Min-jae smiled, and it was like watching winter crack into spring. Excellent. Now, we have our first public appearance tonight. Charity gala at the Schiller Hotel. Every important person in Seoul will be there, including your husband and his mistress. Amarachi's stomach dropped. Tonight. That's too soon. I'm not ready. You're more ready than you think. He pressed a button on his desk. Send Yuna in. A whirlwind entered in the form of a petite woman with sharp eyes and sharper style. This is her. Oh, we have work to do. Good bones, though. Excellent bones. Yuna is Seoul's top stylist, Min-jae explained. She's going to transform you. Transform me into what? Into someone Park Juno will regret losing for the rest of his miserable life, Yuna said, circling Amarachi like a shark. Someone who makes every woman jealous and every man desperate. Someone worthy of standing next to Kong Min-jae. She clapped her hands. Come. We have 6 hours. Those 6 hours were a blur of salons, boutiques, and Yuna's running commentary on everything from Amarachi's eyebrows to her posture. But slowly, something shifted. The woman in the mirrors started looking less like broken Amarachi and more like someone powerful, someone dangerous. By the time Yuna finished, Amarachi barely recognized herself. The gown was crimson silk that clung to every curve, the slit revealing leg for days. Her natural hair, which she'd been straightening for years to please Juno, now fell in glorious curls down her back. Makeup highlighted her Nigerian features instead of trying to soften them. She looked like a queen. Perfect, Yuna breathed. Kong Min-jae won't know what hit him. She was right. When Amarachi entered Minji's penthouse that evening, he froze mid-movement, scotch glass halfway to his lips. His eyes darkened as they traveled over her, slow and deliberate and hungry. Amarachi, he said, voice rough. Is it too much? She asked, suddenly uncertain. He crossed to her in 3 strides, close enough that she had to tilt her head back to maintain eye contact. It's perfect. You're perfect. Park Juno is going to lose his mind, and every other man at that gala is going to wonder how I got so lucky. It's fake, she reminded him, though her pulse raced at his proximity. I know. His hand came up, fingers ghosting along her jawline without quite touching. But we need to practice. At the gala, I'll touch you. Hold your hand, your waist. We need to look like we can't keep our hands off each other. Practice. The word came out breathier than intended. Practice, he confirmed. His hand settled on her waist, warm through the thin silk. Like this. And you'll lean into me, like you trust me completely. He pulled her closer until their bodies were almost touching. Can you do that? Amarachi's hands found his chest, feeling his heartbeat through expensive fabric. Like this. Exactly like that. His other hand cupped her face, thumb brushing her cheekbone. And sometimes I'll look at you like I'm thinking about kissing you. Are you? The question escaped before she could stop it. Minji's eyes dropped to her lips. Constantly. But that's not part of the deal, is it? No, she whispered, though everything in her wanted to close the distance between them. Then we should go before I break my own rules. He stepped back, the loss of his warmth almost painful. Ready to face your past? The Schiller Hotel ballroom was a sea of designer gowns and expensive suits. Amarachi felt every eye turn as she entered on Minji's arm, whispers following in their wake like a tsunami. And there, near the champagne fountain, stood Juno and Sora. Juno's face went white. Sora's champagne glass slipped from her fingers. "Smile," Min-jae murmured against Amarachi's ear. "Let them see you happy." So she did. She smiled like her heart wasn't pounding, like she wasn't terrified, like she was exactly where she belonged. Minji's hand tightened on her waist, possessive and reassuring all at once. "Kong Min-jae," a voice called out. An older businessman approached with his wife. "I didn't know you were seeing anyone." "This is Amarachi Okafor," Min-jae introduced her, pride clear in his voice. "My girlfriend and Kong Industries' new creative director." "Okafor," the wife said. "Aren't you Park Juno's ex-wife soon?" Amarachi said smoothly, amazed at how steady her voice sounded. "We're divorcing." "How wonderful that you've moved on," the woman said with poorly disguised glee. Seoul's elite loved fresh scandal. And with such an upgrade. More people swarmed them, everyone wanting to meet Minji's mysterious new girlfriend. Through it all, Amarachi felt Juno's eyes burning into her back. When she finally dared glance his way, the fury on his face was intoxicating. "He's watching," Min-jae said softly. "Want to give him a show?" Before she could answer, he turned her into his arms, one hand sliding into her hair while the other pressed against the small of her back. They moved together to music she barely heard, so close she could feel his breath on her lips. "This is just for show," she reminded herself aloud. "Keep telling yourself that," Min-jae replied, eyes locked on hers with an intensity that made her knees weak. "But you should know that nothing about the way I'm looking at you right now is fake." "Min-jae, dance with me, Amarachi. Let him see what he lost." So she did. She let herself melt into Minji's arms, let herself feel desired and valued and seen for the first time in years. And when Juno tried to approach them, Min-jae simply turned them away, a clear dismissal that had the entire ballroom buzzing. Later, on the balcony away from the crowd, Amarachi finally breathed. "That was intense." "You were magnificent," Min-jae said, joining her at the railing. "Every person in that room wanted to be you or be with you." "It felt good," she admitted. "Is that wrong?" "It's human." He handed her a glass of champagne. "To new beginnings." Their glasses clinked, and Amarachi realized she was smiling. Really smiling, not the fake expression she'd worn for years with Juno. "Thank you for this. For giving me a chance to." "Don't thank me yet. This is just the beginning." His phone buzzed, and his expression hardened as he read the message. "Your husband just tried to schedule an emergency meeting with 3 of my biggest investors. He's panicking." "Good. Better than good. He's making mistakes." Min-jae pocketed his phone and turned to face her fully. "Amarachi, there's something you should know. I had my medical team pull your fertility records. With your permission, I'd like them to run tests. Real tests, not the ones Park Juno's doctors did." Her heart stopped. "You think?" "I think your husband is a liar who surrounded himself with other liars. And I think you deserve the truth." The medical results came back 2 weeks later, and they shattered everything Amarachi thought she knew about herself. She sat in Minji's private office, the report trembling in her hands, tears streaming down her face. "I'm not infertile," she whispered. "I was never infertile." Minji's expression was murderous. "Your husband's mother bribed 3 different doctors to falsify your test results. They made you believe you were the problem when you were perfectly healthy. And Park Juno knew. He knew the entire time." The betrayal was so massive, so complete, that Amarachi couldn't breathe. 5 years of painful treatments. 5 years of self-blame and shame. 5 years of believing her body was broken when the real problem was Juno's genetic condition that made him essentially sterile. "He let me suffer," she said, voice breaking. "He watched me cry after every failed treatment, every negative pregnancy test, and he knew it was him all along." Min-jae knelt before her chair, taking her hands in his. "Listen to me. What he did to you is unforgivable. But you're going to rise above this. You're going to take this information and use it to destroy him completely. Are you with me? She looked into his eyes and saw rage that matched her own. But underneath it was something else, something tender and fierce and protective. When had this stopped being just business? When had Min Jae become the person she trusted most in the world? I'm with you, she said. What's the plan? His smile was sharp as a blade. We're going to leak this information strategically. First to medical boards to revoke those doctors' licenses. Then to social circles so everyone knows Park Juno is a liar and a fraud. And finally, he pulled out another folder. We're going to destroy his company. I've been buying up his investors' stakes. In 3 days, I'll control 40% of his business. He'll be forced out of his own company. That's brutal. He deserves worse. Minji's hands tightened on hers. Amarachi, you need to know something. This stopped being about business for me weeks ago. Every time I see you, every time you smile, every time you walk into a room and own it like you were born to rule, I fall harder. This arrangement was supposed to be fake, but nothing about what I feel for you is fake anymore. Her heart stuttered. Min Jae, you don't have to say anything. I know we agreed this was temporary, but I need you to know that when this is over, when Park Juno is destroyed and you're free, I'm going to ask you for something real. Not a contract or an arrangement. Something real between us. Before Amarachi could respond, his phone rang. He answered, listened, and his expression darkened. When? I'll be right there. He stood, helping Amarachi to her feet. Juno just showed up at Kong Industries demanding to see you. Building security is holding him in the lobby. They rode the elevator down together, Minji's hand protective on her lower back. When the doors opened, Juno stood there looking disheveled and desperate, so different from the cold man who demanded an open marriage. Amarachi, he said, moving toward her. We need to talk. Min Jae stepped between them. She has nothing to say to you. This is between me and my wife. Ex-wife, Amarachi corrected, finding her voice. The divorce papers were filed yesterday. Juno's face crumpled. You can't do this. That medical report is private information. You can't just. Can't what? Tell people the truth? That you're sterile? That you lied to me for 5 years? That your mother bribed doctors to make me think I was broken? Her voice rose with each word. You humiliated me publicly. You moved your mistress into our home. You threw away our marriage for a child you can never have. So yes, Juno, I can and I will tell everyone exactly what kind of man you are. Sora is pregnant, he blurted out. The lobby went silent. Even Min Jae looked surprised. That's impossible, Amarachi said. The medical reports are wrong. She's 8 weeks pregnant. We're having a baby. But Juno's eyes were panicked, and Amarachi suddenly understood. She's lying to you, she said softly. Or she's pregnant by someone else. Because we both know you can't father children, Juno. Your genetic condition makes it impossible. You don't know that. Those reports could be wrong too. They're not. Min Jae produced his phone, showing medical documents. I had 3 separate labs verify them. You have Klinefelter syndrome, Park Juno. Your sperm count is effectively 0. If your mistress is pregnant, the child isn't yours. Juno's face went from red to white. You're lying. You're both lying to destroy me. We don't need to lie, Amarachi said. You destroyed yourself the moment you decided I was disposable. Now leave. And if you come near me again, Minji's lawyers will ensure you regret it. Juno looked at her like he'd never seen her before. You've changed. You're not the woman I married. No, I'm not. I'm better. I'm free. And I'm done being your victim. She turned her back on him, the ultimate dismissal. Let's go, Min Jae. They walked away together, and Amarachi didn't look back. Behind them, Security escorted Juno out as he shouted threats that echoed through the marble lobby. But Amarachi felt nothing but relief. In the elevator, Min-jae pulled her into his arms. "You were incredible. I was terrified. You didn't show it." His hand cupped her face, thumb brushing away a tear she hadn't realized had fallen. "Amarachi, I." The elevator doors opened on the penthouse level, and the moment broke. But the tension between them was electric, charged with everything unsaid. They walked to his office in silence, hyper-aware of each other. "There's one more thing," Min-jae said once they were alone. "Juno's assistant Minji reached out to me. She wants to testify about his business practices. Apparently, he's been embezzling funds and cooking books for over a year. She has evidence. Why would she help us? Because he threatened to fire her when she questioned his relationship with Sora. She's angry and she wants revenge." He poured them both a drink. With her testimony and the medical reports, Park Juno won't just lose his company. He'll likely face criminal charges. Amarachi accepted the glass, mind reeling. This is really happening. He's actually going to lose everything. The same way he tried to make you lose everything. Min-jae clinked his glass against hers. Justice isn't always pretty, but it's always satisfying. They drank, and Amarachi felt the weight of the past weeks settling over her. The anger, the transformation, the growing feelings for Min-jae that she'd been trying to ignore. It was all too much. "I need to ask you something," she said. "Why did you really help me?" The truth, not the business strategy answer. Min-jae was quiet for a long moment. "My sister," he finally said. "She was married to a man who treated her the way Park Juno treated you. Controlled her, isolated her, made her believe she was worthless. By the time I found out, she tried to take her own life. She survived, barely, and I helped her divorce him and rebuild. But I was too late to stop her pain. When I saw you in that bar, broken and alone, I saw Jun. And I couldn't walk away. I'm sorry. I didn't know. No one does. Jun keeps her past private now. She's happy, successful, married to someone who actually deserves her." He set down his glass and moved closer. "But you, Amarachi, you reminded me that sometimes people deserve a second chance. Sometimes the best revenge is living well. And sometimes," his hand found hers, "fake arrangements become real feelings." "Min-jae, we agreed. I know what we agreed. But I'm asking you to consider something else. Consider that maybe this was never really fake. Maybe we were both pretending it was business because admitting the truth was too terrifying." Amarachi's heart raced. "What truth?" "That I want you. Not as part of a deal or an arrangement. I want you in my life, in my bed, in my future. I want to wake up next to you and know it's real. I want to give you everything Park Juno was too stupid to appreciate. It's too soon. We barely know each other. I know you're brilliant and strong and beautiful. I know you make me laugh. I know that every moment I'm not with you feels empty. I know that watching you transform from broken to powerful has been the greatest privilege of my life." He pulled her closer, his other hand sliding into her hair. "Tell me you don't feel it too." "I feel it," she whispered. "But I'm scared. What if this is just adrenaline? What if when the revenge is over, there's nothing left between us? Then we'll find out together." His forehead pressed against hers. "But I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think we're going to be extraordinary together." Min-jae. He kissed her. Finally, after weeks of tension and almost touches and loaded glances, he kissed her. And it was nothing like kissing Juno had been. This was fire and need and promise all wrapped together. Amarachi's hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer, and Min-jae groaned against her mouth. "This changes everything," Amarachi breathed when they finally broke apart. "Everything," Min-jae agreed, trailing kisses down her neck. "Is that okay?" "It's terrifying and perfect and I don't want to stop." He pulled back just enough to look at her, eyes dark with desire. We don't have to. Unless you want to slow down. I've been slow for 5 years. I'm done being careful. She pulled him back down for another kiss, and this time there was no hesitation from either of them. They made their way to the sofa, hands exploring, barriers falling away. For the first time since this nightmare began, Amarachi felt truly alive. Later, wrapped in Minji's arms with the Seoul skyline glittering outside the windows, reality crept back in. What happens now? She asked. Now we finish what we started. Juno's board meeting is in 3 days. My lawyers will present evidence of his embezzlement, and I'll call for a vote to remove him as CEO. With the shares I've acquired, it's a done deal. And Sora's pregnancy? Minji confirmed it's fake. Sora's been lying to keep Juno from leaving her. She knows about his infertility and is planning to claim a miscarriage in a few weeks. But we're going to expose that too. Amarachi should have felt triumphant. Instead, she felt strangely empty. Is it wrong that I don't hate him anymore? I'm just tired of thinking about him. That's not wrong. That's healing. Minji's arms tightened around her. You're moving on, Amarachi. That's the real victory. The next few days blurred together. Amarachi threw herself into her work at Kong Industries, discovering she had a genuine talent for creative direction. Her team respected her, her ideas were implemented, and for the first time in years, she remembered who she was before Juno tried to erase her. If you're still watching, drop a comment below telling us where you're watching from. We love hearing from you all around the world. The morning of Juno's board meeting, Amarachi woke to find Min-jae already dressed in a sharp suit, looking every inch the ruthless businessman. You don't have to come, he said. I can handle this. I want to be there. I need to see it end. They arrived at Park Tech headquarters together, and the whispers started immediately. Everyone knew about Amarachi and Min-jae now. Everyone knew what was coming. The boardroom felt like a courtroom, and in many ways, it was. Juno looked haggard, dark circles under his eyes. Sora sat beside him, playing the supportive girlfriend, but her nervousness was obvious. When Min-jae entered with Amarachi on his arm, Juno's face twisted with rage and something that looked almost like regret. This meeting is a hostile takeover, Juno declared. Kong Min-jae has been buying shares illegally. Everything was legal and documented, Minji's lawyer interrupted smoothly. Mr. Kong now controls 47% of Park Tech through legitimate purchases from your investors. Investors who lost faith in your leadership after learning about your financial mismanagement. That's a lie. Is it? The lawyer produced documents. These records show consistent embezzlement over 18 months. Money funneled into offshore accounts. Fabricated expense reports. You've stolen approximately 800 million won from your own company. The board erupted. Juno turned white. Those are fake. He fabricated those to destroy me. They're verified by 3 independent forensic accountants, Min-jae said calmly. And by your former assistant Minji, who kept copies of everything and is willing to testify in court. Minji, Juno spat. That traitor. That employee you threatened and abused, Amarachi said quietly. All eyes turned to her. Just like you threatened and abused me. Just like you manipulate and use everyone around you. But it's over now, Juno. You've lost. I call for a vote, Min-jae announced. All in favor of removing Park Juno as CEO and installing new leadership. The vote was unanimous. Even Juno's supposed allies abandoned him. In minutes, he went from CEO to nothing. Security escorted him from the building as he shouted threats that no one listened to. Sora tried to follow, but Min-jae stopped her. You might want to stay, Ms. Sora. We have questions about your fake pregnancy and your role in Park Juno's schemes. Her face crumpled. I didn't know about the embezzlement. I swear I didn't know. But you knew about the fake pregnancy. You knew about the bribed doctors. You knew about his infertility and you helped him deceive my client. Minji's lawyer presented more documents. You're facing charges for fraud and conspiracy. Sora burst into tears, her perfectly constructed facade falling apart. Amarachi felt nothing watching her. No satisfaction, no anger. Just relief that this chapter was finally closing. Outside, rain had started to fall. Amarachi tilted her face to the sky, letting it wash over her. Minjae joined her, umbrella forgotten. It's done, he said. It's done, she echoed. So why don't I feel different? Because revenge was never the point. Getting your life back was. And you've done that. He turned her to face him. You're free now, Amarachi. Completely free. So I'm going to ask you what I promised I would ask. Stay with me. Not because of a contract or an arrangement. Stay because you want to. Stay because what we have is real. What if I'm not ready? What if I need time to figure out who I am without Juno, without this revenge plot, without? Then take time. I'll wait. A month, a year, however long you need. But know that I love you. I love your strength and your kindness and your ability to rise from ashes. I love who you are and who you're becoming. And I'll love you whether you stay or go. Amarachi's eyes filled with tears. You love me. Desperately, completely, inconveniently. He smiled. So what do you say? She thought about the woman she'd been 2 months ago, broken and defeated in that hotel bar. She thought about the woman she was now, confident and powerful and free. And she thought about the future, vast and unknown and full of possibility. I say I love you too. And I'm not going anywhere. He kissed her in the rain, and it felt like every romance story and fairy tale and perfect moment all wrapped into one. Behind them, Park Tech headquarters stood as a monument to Juno's failure. Ahead of them, Seoul glittered with promise. 2 weeks later, Amarachi stood in a pharmacy staring at a pregnancy test. Her hands shook as she read the result. Positive. After 5 years of trying, after all the treatments and tears and false hope, she was pregnant. And this time it was real. It was hers. It was theirs. She found Min Jae in his home office, and when she showed him the test, his reaction was everything. He swept her into his arms, laughing and crying at the same time, pressing kisses to her face, her hair, her stomach. We're having a baby, he kept saying. We're having a baby. Is it too fast? Amarachi asked. We've only been together for. It's perfect. You're perfect. This is perfect. He dropped to his knees, hands gentle on her still flat stomach. I know we talked about waiting, about doing things properly, but Amarachi Okafor, will you marry me? Will you let me spend the rest of my life proving that you deserve everything good in this world? Yes, she said through tears. Yes, yes, yes. They married 3 months later in an intimate ceremony at Minji's traditional Hanok home. His sister June stood as witness, and a small group of close friends celebrated with them. Amarachi wore white and felt like herself for the first time in years. Her family video called from Nigeria, crying happy tears as they watched their daughter marry a man who truly cherished her. Juno wasn't invited. Last Amarachi heard, he was facing criminal charges and Sora had left him the moment his money disappeared. She didn't care. That part of her life was over. 5 years later, Amarachi sat in her office at Kong Industries, now promoted to Chief Creative Officer. Her daughter Zara played on the floor with design samples, already showing artistic talent. Amarachi was 8 months pregnant with their second child, a boy they'd already named Chidi after her father. Her phone buzzed with a news alert. Park Juno had been sentenced to 6 years in prison for fraud and embezzlement. The photo showed a broken man, nothing like the arrogant husband who'd once demanded an open marriage. Amarachi deleted the notification without reading the article. She had better things to focus on. Her thriving career. Her beautiful family. Her husband who still looked at her like she hung the moon. Her life, rebuilt from ruins into something extraordinary. That evening, Min-jae found her on their penthouse balcony, watching the sunset paint Seoul in shades of gold. "What are you thinking about?" he asked, wrapping his arms around her from behind, careful of her pregnant belly. "How grateful I am that he broke my heart. Because it led me to you." "Best fake arrangement ever," Min-jae murmured against her neck. "It was never really fake though, was it?" "Not for a second." He turned her to face him, his hands cradling her face with infinite gentleness. "You saved me as much as I saved you, you know. Before you, I was just going through motions. Now I actually live." Amarachi kissed him as the sun set on Seoul, their city, their empire, their life. Behind them, Zara called for her parents, and they went inside together to the family they'd built from betrayal and revenge and unexpected love. The story could have ended in tragedy. A broken woman, a failed marriage, a life destroyed. But Amarachi chose differently. She chose to fight back. She chose to rebuild. She chose love when it was offered. And in doing that, she didn't just survive her worst nightmare. She thrived beyond it. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't destroying your enemy. It's living so well that they become irrelevant. It's building something so beautiful from the ashes that you forget they ever burned you. It's choosing yourself, your worth, your future over their narrative of who you were supposed to be. Amarachi Okafor did all that and more. And in the end, she didn't just get revenge. She got everything she deserved. If you enjoyed this story of revenge, transformation, and ultimate victory, please hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible stories. And don't forget to comment below telling us where you're watching from. Thank you for watching, and remember that your story isn't over until you win.